tell people like we're going to be editing it a lot.
Okay.
If you're not familiar.
Which camera am I looking at? Just either look at.
Are we going to be able to take breaks?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Very moody. In a good way or a bad way?
It's a good way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll just be looking and talking to Sean.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
So, you're gonna roll.
Our top two things that we're always concerned about is our health or our family. What comes after that is usually financial. So it's pretty high up there on the pyramid of what's important to people.
When I can sit down with people and make it make sense, and I can see them kind of relaxing and some of that fear going away, I know that I'm in the right place.
At the end of the day, we want to be improving people's situations. We want to be helping them accomplish their financial goals. We want to architect a long-term plan that they're very excited about.
As a client, you never miss a beat in terms of your financial life from start to finish.
No matter how hard the situation or how complicated the situation is, we're going to figure it out and do the right thing.
Tim Lambros, I'm a fiduciary advisor in our Tucson office for Trajan Wealth. I onboard clients, design and architect their financial plans, and have a lot of fun working with people. Everybody has a story, so you learn to be a good listener. You learn to ask good questions. I love meeting people, hearing their story, and then the real challenge of trying to figure out exactly why they contacted us. What's their main problem that we could solve? You solve people's problems, and you got friends for life and clients forever.
Whether a client has $25,000 or $25 million, we want them to have the same experience. I never want to hear somebody say, well, I don't have enough money, or I only have. My name is Marty Bryant, and I am a fiduciary advisor with Trajan. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. They've made the sacrifices. They have, saved that money. And it's a lot of money, and blood, sweat, and tears went into saving that money. And I understand that. And whether you're speaking with me or you're talking to a PM or we're working with the back office, everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. They deserve to have their questions answered.
My name's Jeff Birch. I'm the manager of the Portfolio Management Group. The portfolio managers are expert relationship managers. If we had to define their role, I would say it's a relationship manager. They really need to build a relationship with the client, help the client understand where they're coming from, and genuinely trying to build a relationship with them and help them solve for their needs. What we need to do is help them with what they're asking for. And they're not asking for what a lot of financial advisors do, which is really go into the weeds on market or investment type of information. They're not always looking for that. They do want some education and understand where they're at. They're not trying to understand the entire market or the world.
The client came in, they interviewed us, they interviewed another firm, and they decided to go with us. And I said, what changed your mind? I said, we met with the other person, and he literally physically said, he spent about this much time getting to know us, and the rest of it was numbers and spreadsheets. He goes, I really like that you took a whole appointment to get to know us. That's our first appointment, discovery. Asked a lot of questions. I saw you taking notes. You seemed like you're a pretty good listener. And then when we came the second time, then you went into how you could improve our situation. I think that's where Jeff Jr.'s influence really has built a culture in this company where, we want to align ourselves with what's going to be best for the client. And if it takes 2 or 3 appointments to do that, we're going to do that.
Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., CEO and founder of Trajan Wealth. After more than 30 years in this industry, you start to notice patterns, not just in the markets, but in people's entire lives. And I've spent a lot of time sitting across the table from smart, thoughtful people who did everything that they were supposed to do. They worked hard, they saved consistently, they tried to make very careful decisions. And still, when it came to their finances, that pile of money, they just felt uncertain. sometimes overwhelmed, sometimes unsure of who or even what to trust. And if that sounds familiar, just know that you're not alone. It happens to millions of families across the country. And what I saw again and again was an industry that made things so much more complicated than it really needed to be. Advice that felt fragmented, incentives that weren't always clear, and pieces that just didn't connect. And too often, decisions that served the system better than the families that were relying on it. And that never sat right with me. I believe there had to be a much better way, and one that was built on a much higher standard, a fiduciary standard, where advice is clear and honest and genuinely aligned with your life and your family and what you want the future to look like. And that belief is exactly why I founded Trajan Wealth.
1, 2, 3. My name is Judah Margulies. I'm a financial fiduciary here at Trajan Wealth. Just helping people with their financial planning and really helping them reach the goals that they set out to accomplish. Sometimes I'll have clients, and actually it's more often than you would think, they'll say to me, well, Judah, do I even have enough money to work with you? Or is it worth your time to help me? I'll tell people, I'm like, I don't care how much money you've got. I don't care if you've got $50,000 or multi-million dollars, right? Everyone has goals that they're setting out to accomplish, right? Everyone's got things that they want to achieve in life. And most people need help and guidance to reach those goals and objectives. So when we sit down together, we build that plan out, and to see the relief on someone's face, I mean, it's literally like just a weight off of them. And you can see it in their eyes. And once we have that plan together, I mean, the joy and stress relief that it brings them, I mean, that's really what drives me the most.
I feel like we've talked about my portfolio managers and how they work as relationship managers. They are focused on building that relationship. They're not in the back of their minds also trying to manage the specifics of a portfolio. We have a team that does that. Because of that difference, that nuance, they're able to focus on the client specifically. Whereas other places I've worked in the past, you're wearing a lot of different hats.
Trajan Wealth is a company of specialists. The traditional financial advisor spends about 75% of their time prospecting and looking for new clients because they're worried about growing their business, because obviously they need to make money so they can provide for their families. The problem with that is that while they're out looking for new clients 75% of their day, who's watching their current clients' money? What Trajan Wealth does is we have specialists that take care of all those extra things that most financial advisors do throughout their day. I'm talking about, we have our own marketing team. We have our own client development team. So our marketing team and our client development team work very closely together to help to fill our financial advisors' calendars. So our financial advisors don't have to go out and try to find new people to meet with. Our financial advisors are able to focus on teaching their clients and then managing their money, deciding what's the best way to invest your money.
I tried to do this for 4 or 5 years. And when you feel the weight of trying to do all these things, but you do not have those kind of experts and those various skill sets that are needed, you feel your lack. And the client picks up on that.
I always ran, like when I was in high school and stuff, and just like for fitness. And then when I was pregnant with my second kid, a girl on my team at work at the time, she said, "Hey guys, have you heard of this thing called trail running?" And she was like, "It's just like a combination of running and hiking." She's like, "You just go on the trail and you run." And I was like, "That's what I'm doing."
My name is Jen Bennett, and I am currently a fiduciary advisor here at Trajan. My first couple of years here, I was in our portfolio management group as one of the first portfolio managers when Jeff assembled the team, and now I've made the jump over to the fiduciary advisor role. I think one of the main things that has kind of solidified my relationship with Trajan is like that I know that Jeff, he's honest first and foremost. Like he's a genuine person. And I'm actually quite skeptical. It takes me a while sometimes to really fully trust someone, but everything that Jeff's ever said that he would do, he's done. That same concept trickles down with everybody. Doing what you say that you will do, right? That's, I think, the way I've always understood integrity. So it's not just being honest, but it's also the actions that you take that support your value system.
It like brings me a lot of joy just to it's kind of like a meditation to me. I don't have to think about anything. I don't have a to-do list. It's just like one of the few times that I feel like really calm.
That relationship aspect is everything. You have to be able to trust your financial advisor. I think the individual kind of sees it like they hold the key to making sure that they'll be taken care of long term, making sure that their spouse will be taken care of long term, and whatever else it is that is important to them. What is the money for, right? Who is the person and the people, the family usually behind this money? Where are you on your journey to whatever milestone? Like usually we'll use retirement as that big milestone. So when you can kind of develop that level of trust with someone, it immediately, I think, provides the client with like a level of calm. It quells some anxiety. It definitely helps to soothe that angst that they might have, whatever it is, around their money.
Huge area that makes us different than most firms out there is that we're a fiduciary 100% of the time.
Being a fiduciary is really acting in the best interest of our clients, right? Making recommendations, making decisions, giving guidance.
How are you going to do what's in someone's best interest without actually knowing who they are and what they want? You really need to dig in and understand somebody to be able to say, all right, well, given your circumstances and given what you want to accomplish and the goals that you have, that's how we can position your assets in a way that's structured and tailored specifically to you.
We are independent. We work for our clients. Our clients hire us. And without them, we wouldn't be here. First and foremost, we are strictly a fiduciary advisor.
A broker, they sell investments and make a commission. Sometimes both the advisor and the firm will make a commission. According to FINRA, which is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, approximately 90% of all financial advisors are registered as a broker or duly registered as a broker. Trajan Wealth is within the approximate 10% that are registered as a fiduciary only. Brokers are held to what's called the suitability standard, which means the recommendation just has to be suitable, not necessarily the best. And the suitability standard is the baseline standard. A fiduciary, on the other hand, is held to the fiduciary standard, which is the highest level of care in the industry, legally requiring advice to be in the best interest of the client. A fiduciary is legally obligated to put the client's best interest first, not the product and not the commission. If you're concerned about how your financial advisor may be registered, don't ask them if they're a fiduciary. Instead, ask them if they're also registered as a broker.
The easiest way to understand it is on the broker side of regulation, of that side of the business model. It really is a different business model. It's all about disclosure. So a broker doesn't have to disclose the level of commissions. They don't have to disclose if the brokerage house is pushing a certain set of funds. They don't have to. They send you a prospectus, and most of us, we don't pour a big tall glass of coffee and read it cover to cover. We use it to build our little fire outside in the pit, right? So no one understands the level of fees and stuff that they're paying. They can't tell you how much it costs to have that firm help you. Very different on the fiduciary side, because we're going to disclose, and that's what builds the trust.
Anyone can manage money, right? Anyone. Any one of these brokerages, Edward Jones, Schwab, Fidelity, any one of those guys. Firms that might look like ours on the outside, but when you read the fine print, you see they're really brokers or duly registered.
A lot of financial advisory firms will have their advisors go out and get licensed so they can be a fiduciary, but they also still have a broker's license. And so because of that, the financial advisor can say they're a fiduciary, and they will. They tell their clients they're a fiduciary, but in reality, at any time, they can take that fiduciary hat off and act as a broker. And so they're actually held at a lower standard when they're acting as a broker. And the unfortunate thing is that they don't always have to tell their clients when they're taking that fiduciary hat off. A lot of our advisors, when they come and start working for us, they have that broker's license. They also have that fiduciary license. And one of the things that we always tell them is we will not carry that broker's license. The main reason for that is because then they're forced to act as a fiduciary 100% of the time. They never have that option to take that fiduciary hat off.
I want our prospects and our clients to understand that they are not a number. We are not a wirehouse. We're not a brokerage.
The problem with the broker model or selling investments for commissions is it doesn't give advisors any incentive to continue to service the client and develop that relationship after the sale. Because as soon as they sell the investments, they receive a commission and they're on to the next sale.
Hi, I'm David Bush, Co-Chief Investment Officer at Trajan Wealth. The inspiration for my desire to be in this industry really started when I was in college, and I was living at home, and my parents were in an auto accident. My dad passed on impact, and then my mom was in the hospital for about 6 weeks. And this was all through the holiday season. So the accident happened on December 1st. And so we went through the holidays and New Year's of 2000, the year 2000, with my mom in the hospital. I had to learn this industry really quickly. That pressure, that experience caused me to have to learn about insurance, everything from life insurance and auto insurance to investment management to probate. And it all happened all within a very short period of time. If there was a company like Trajan Wealth that existed back then that I could rely on, that had that financial plan all under one roof, from wealth management to insurance and annuities to estate planning and tax planning and preparation, it would have made that tragedy a lot easier to go through, because then I would have that expert guidance instead of me individually calling each individual insurance company trying to figure out what insurance my parents had, what life insurance, where the money was going to come from, where their savings and checking and investment accounts were held. I had to do that all on my own. We serve everyone from individual clients to trusts, estates, businesses, foundations, really anybody that has an investment management need. And our target is what we would call starting with the mass affluent, who has roughly $250,000 to invest, all the way up to high net worth, which is what we consider $1 million or more in investments, or ultra high net worth, which is $5 million and above. And so we have a wide variety of investment strategies that cover the needs of all of those different groups. My team constructs the model portfolios, invests the money, and we do all the trading in the background, so trading operations. In addition to that, it's a lot of research. It's making sure that, one, that our clients and our advisors are totally informed in terms of what's happening in the markets and the economy as a whole. We manage investments across the spectrum, everything from common stocks to bonds to exchange-traded funds, also known as ETFs. We generally steer clear of mutual funds. And the reason is because its structure is less tax efficient than an ETF. So the reason I would recommend investing in our models instead of doing it yourself is that, one, we're tracking, we're your life partner from the very beginning. So once you become one of our clients, we know your whole financial plan, and we help you create that and manage it over the course of your lifetime. And so with our expertise and guidance, what we can do is help you manage through each stage of your life, from starting off as a newlywed and through children being born to working and retiring, and then ultimately leaving your legacy. And so the strategies that we develop can help you manage your investments throughout that life cycle.
We built our firm differently. In much of the financial world, advisors are asked to juggle everything at once. A majority of their time is focused on getting more clients. And if they're spending their time doing that, who is actually watching and managing your investments? Marketing, sales, planning, follow-up. When attention is divided, you will certainly feel it. And here at Trajan, we chose a different path. At Trajan, we have experts in each role. We have specialists who focus deeply on what they do best. A dedicated onboarding team to make sure your foundation is solid. An investment team that watches the markets every day. Portfolio managers whose only responsibility is staying focused on your investments, plan, and your progress. And I like to think of it kind of like a quarterback. You don't want one person trying to do every job on the field. You really want a coordinated team, each playing their role, but moving in the same direction. And that's what we've built. So you are never an afterthought because of that. And at the end of the day, financial success shouldn't feel heavy or stressful or burdensome. Our role is to help carry the complexity, close those gaps, and make sure that everything works together so that you can move forward with clarity and, of course, confidence.
So this is gonna be like 75 years old. Oh wow! Yeah, yeah, they don't make them like this anymore. I'm Kent Phelps. I'm the CEO of Trajan Estate Law Firm and Estate Lawyers Law Firm as well. Our law firms, Trajan Estate and Estate Lawyers, provide estate planning services. The tools, I like to say, in our tool belt that do things like keep our children out of court if something happens to us, or keep us out of court if we become incapacitated, and identify ahead of time who our medical and financial decision makers are in the event of our incapacity. Also, things like protecting our children from crisis events that could happen in their lives after we pass away, like bankruptcy and divorce and lawsuits and that sort of thing. So the best candidates for an estate plan are those who care about what happens after they pass away. You care about your money being a blessing to your heirs rather than a curse, then estate planning is important to you.
One of the most personal parts of any financial plan is the estate. And for a lot of people, this is the area that feels the absolute heaviest. And it's not because it's complicated on paper, because it asks you to think about moments in life that are very emotional and uncertain and completely impossible in some cases to even imagine. It's very natural to put it off, and frankly, most of us do. Having your estate in order is not just about preparing for the worst. It's about protecting the people that you care about and giving yourself the peace of mind knowing that things are clear, thoughtful, and aligned.
Was an estate planning attorney. Growing up, people always asked me, "Are you going to be a lawyer like your dad?" And it sounded like the most boring thing to me. And I always said, "No way, I am not going to do that." As I then finished up my undergraduate degree, I started thinking about law school. And it sounded like actually a pretty good way to go, but estate planning still sounded very boring to me as I came out of law school. So I was actually a trial attorney for 10 years. and loved the thrill and the competition and the adrenaline rush of the courtroom. About that 10-year mark when I was preparing for a pretty intense wrongful death jury trial. My wife was expecting our 6th child, Benjamin, and she went into labor. Here I am in the labor and delivery room on my laptop preparing for this trial. About 6 weeks after that, our infant son contracted RSV and pneumonia. And once again, we found ourselves at the Children's Hospital with our young infant son struggling for his life for about a week. He couldn't breathe. And here I am once again on my laptop preparing for this wrongful death jury trial. After that trial, I decided I was going to hang up my briefcase and go into the family business.
When estate planning is treated as a standalone task, it often creates more questions than it does answers. Documents, they get created in isolation. Decisions, they get made without any context. And families, in most cases, are left trying to piece things together during moments when clarity matters most and their emotions are incredibly high. And at Trajan, we take a different approach. Estate planning is designed to work in harmony with your full financial picture, with your investments, your tax strategy, your retirement goals, the life that you're living now, not just this hypothetical future. And that way, nothing feels disconnected or rushed, and nothing important is left to chance. And just as importantly, we approach this work with care and empathy, knowing what you're going through, because we did as well. We understand that these conversations aren't easy, and our role is to help guide them thoughtfully so that you don't have to carry unnecessary stress or leave difficult decisions for the people that you love during already challenging emotional times.
It's a common misunderstanding that if I have a will where I have identified who's in charge after I pass away and who gets what after I pass away, that will all happen outside the court system. That is not true with a will. In fact, it's just the opposite. If we have a will, the will has to be admitted to the probate court. The court has to review and authenticate the will and make sure that it meets minimum state requirements. And then we have to actually publish to the world, if you will, that number one, you've passed away. Number two, a probate has been opened in your name. And number three, anyone who wants to stake a claim against your estate or contest your will has a certain period of time to do so. Often, potential clients come to us with an existing trust, and one of the first things that we look at is how old is the trust. And if the trust is more than 5 years old, we commonly let the client know about some favorable developments in the tax laws that have happened in the last 5 years and how their trust is not taking advantage of that. And what that means to their beneficiaries is ultimately the beneficiaries might actually pay more in capital gains tax than they otherwise would if they were to update the trust. The benefits to the under one roof solution for us on the legal side are very specific. If there's a death or incapacity, now our loved ones have just one stop to make to address all the legal and financial considerations death or incapacity can trigger. So I think that the reason that most financial advisors don't employ this family office structure comes down to a couple of things. Number one is the effort that it takes. A financial planner, I'm sure most of them just kind of want to stay in their sandbox. And if they do feel like they should be telling their clients to get their estate planning done, they might do nothing more than just make a referral to an attorney. I would guess that most financial planners probably don't even want to talk to an attorney. They just don't want to have to deal with that. A family office generally is kind of like a business. And it's managed sometimes by family members, sometimes by outside third parties to deploy the family wealth. Here at Trajan Wealth, what I feel like we've done is to democratize the family office, where now a family office is not just for the ultra wealthy. We can accomplish those same objectives for a family that does not have tens of millions of dollars, for example. But it's just as important, in my view, for a family that is not ultra wealthy to leverage the human and financial capital of their family in a way that will bless the lives of their family members and continue to grow the wealth. Family is the most important thing. At the end of our lives, really, who is going to be there? I want my wife and my children and my grandchildren know that they were the priority in my life. I love the quote from Darwin Smith. He said that business is not about profit, but about personal and organizational greatness. I have always had to find meaning in my actual work. And I hope that at the end of my life that there will be something good having come out of my work in the business world as well.
So hello, I'm Udayan Mitra, and I'm the Co-Chief Investment Officer here at Trajan Wealth. And really, my focus is more on the alternative investment space and specifically investments in private markets. Private markets is really anything that is investable, but it's not traded in a public exchange. There's a large universe of businesses that are not listed in any of those stock exchanges, and so you can't trade it every day. For example, we are one of them. We are Trajan Wealth. We are a business. We have revenues. We have profits. We have a valuation. But you cannot buy or sell our shares. It's held in private hands. Beyond that, the private markets could even cover other aspects that are not necessarily corporations, but investments in different types of projects. They could be infrastructure projects. They could be real estate projects. Because private markets capture so many different things that are not available in the public markets, just by putting them together, you get a diversification benefit. And this is where this whole private markets gets exceedingly exciting. As all of you know, we are in the middle of a technological revolution, right? A lot of people really attribute that to the development of AI and artificial intelligence. But think about all the derivatives that are required to make artificial intelligence a reality. The power, the chip capacity, and then also think about the sort of applications of AI beyond large language models like ChatGPT and things like that that all of you are familiar with. It could be used to power robotics to build single-family houses. It could be used to power robotics to separate municipal wastes. This is a sort of innovation and exposure that's not currently there. And they're being really created to solve problems for which, and I repeat this again, they're being created to solve problems for which no solution exists.
Most people are led to believe that the stock market is the end-all, be-all of investment strategy. But the truth is, the stock exchange is just a very small portion of the total opportunity that exists. So, to give you an example, to put it in context, there are approximately 4,700 companies on the stock exchange, but there is an estimated 33 million private companies out there. Now, the vast majority of companies, the ones building world-changing technologies and the essential infrastructure of our future, aren't for sale on the stock market. They're private. And if you're only invested in public stocks, you're missing out on the opportunity to invest really in modern innovation. At Trajan, we provide direct access to private investment opportunities such as private real estate, institutional infrastructure, and the innovative technologies that are defining and redefining our future every day.
My background, I really did work for two very prominent family offices, one in Dallas, Texas, the other in Wichita, Kansas. And I held leadership positions there. And what I realized from those families, because they were entrepreneurs, they cut their teeth in really creating businesses and extracting value from what they created. They had a bias of really being involved in essentially the formation and the development of private businesses. What I like about private investing in a family office style is because it's more private oriented, people can make the best decision long term. We are doing it in a very curated manner. We're doing it in a very discerning manner. And where possible, we're underwriting those assets ourselves in conjunction with our partners. We believe our approach positions clients to be competitive with, and in many cases outperform, traditional industry models over time. But there's an argument to be made that you can do it yourself in the public markets. Contrast that to the private markets. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is available on the internet. None of this is transparent and publicly available by way of information. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer and managing your own portfolio, you're missing out on this opportunity set in private markets simply because you don't have access.
Our private market strategy is a disciplined, carefully selected approach designed to help you further diversify your portfolio. Even beyond diversification and opportunity, it's about giving your family the advantage of the entire economy, not just the part that everyone else sees.
I'm Jaden Allen. I'm a CPA here at Trajan Tax. The thing that Trajan Tax does differently than other tax firms is you normally talk to an accountant twice a year, when you give them their documents and when you pick them up. Trajan Tax, we make that at least 3 times. So we do the same thing. We take your documents, we make sure that we're compliant, and we file your taxes. But then after April 15th, we then meet with you to make sure your tax plan and tax strategy makes sense for your lifestyle. Most tax preparers view their job done when they file your return with the IRS. We at Trajan Tax view that that's where the job begins. When you're looking for someone to take care of you, you want to make sure you have all your bases covered. Trajan Wealth's whole purpose is to make sure that you're taken care of. When you have a tax question, estate question, or even a financial, like what investments are fit you, Trajan Wealth answers those questions, and that happens through CPAs, attorneys, and also financial advisors that are fiduciaries, making sure that you're not being sold products that are not in your benefit. It's very important for a CPA to be in contact with your financial advisor, because if you're not in contact with your financial advisor who's also contacting that CPA, if that's not happening, your financial advisor might not fully understand your tax landscape. And so when that happens, tax inefficiencies arise, which eat away at your returns. And over time, that really can hurt you. And so when you're talking to someone that has a financial advisor and a CPA and they're on the same team, the tax efficiencies can maximize returns and minimize your tax expense.
In a true family office, tax isn't a year-end event. It's the cornerstone of a solid financial strategy. I've seen how some firms operate. Most don't actually have CPAs on staff. They have tax consultants, or they simply refer you to someone outside their walls. And that's not a strategy, that's a handoff. In that handoff, your wealth is the thing that slips through the cracks. I brought experts like Jaden and our entire tax team in-house because I refuse to let our clients be the middleman for their own professionals. There is a profound difference between a consultant who gives advice and a CPA who is woven into the very fabric of your portfolio management. When your tax strategist sits at the same table as your investment team, we can solve problems before they even hit your balance sheet. At Trajan Wealth, your tax strategy and your investment plan speak the same language. This is the only way to build a legacy that lasts.
You actually might be surprised by this, but a lot of tax preparers do this on the side or seasonally. And the one thing that I would always ask you is, do you want to be viewed as a side gig from that professional? Us at Trajan Tax, this is our full-time job. You're our front and center. You're the whole reason we go to work. And so when tax law changes happen or anything else is going on in terms of our tax legislation, you're in our minds. Whereas if this is on the side, they're worried about a whole array of other things, and that might not be in the best interest for you. One of the great things about Trajan Wealth is that we're not referral dependent. We service our clients. We try to look at our client holistically. When you're relying on referrals and also when you're giving out referrals, there might be other motives other than what's best for the client. The fiduciary standard might be compromised. So when you get a referral from a financial advisor to a good CPA, are they giving you that CPA because it's a good fit for you or a good fit for them? And that's a question you always have to ask yourself when you get a referral. But here at Trajan Wealth, When we give you a referral over to our financial advisors or our estate team from our CPAs, we have no conflict of interest because it's all one team.
Throughout my career, I've seen families work for decades to build something meaningful, only to see it diluted by a financial industry that is fundamentally fragmented. Most firms are built to sell products, not to solve complex problems, and they operate in silos, leaving you to be the middleman between your advisor, your CPA, and your attorney. I founded Trajan Wealth because I knew you deserved better. I had a vision for a firm where the fiduciary standard wasn't just a legal term, but a proud sense of duty to protect your interests above all else. And what truly sets us apart is the Trajan family office. We have done what most firms won't do. We brought the most critical disciplines of wealth, investment strategy, in-house CPAs, and in-house estate attorneys under one single roof. This model was once a closed door reserved only for the ultra wealthy, but we kicked that door open. We brought this level of elite coordinated care to you because we believe that if you've spent your life working hard and staying disciplined, that you've earned the right to have a team that is just as relentless as you are. And in our family office, we don't just check boxes. We move with purpose to eliminate tax drag, optimize your private market access, and secure your legacy before issues even have a chance to fester. We lead through service and live through example. When you walk through our doors, you aren't just getting an advisor. You are gaining a unified front of specialists who are accountable for your results. You didn't build your life by settling for the status quo, and don't settle for it now, especially with your money. Experience the power of a team that is 100% committed to you. That is the Trajan difference.